Welcome to the Made for Business show where Catholic moms come to learn how to build a business from peace while raising kids. Today, I want to talk about making a bad investment. And of course, bad here is a relative term, a subjective term. You get to determine what you think a bad investment is. But chances are, if you've been in business for a while, you have spent money on something that you regret spending money on. And if it's a bigger thing, like a 4-digit thing or a 5-digit thing, then this event that happened to you, this decision, this purchase, this investment is likely haunting you a little bit. It's kind of following you around like you don't know how to make good decisions. I don't know if I can trust you. Remember that thing that we bought that didn't pan out? Or maybe it's a partnership, like you hired a contractor or a marketing company to work for you and that totally flopped and didn't work out. So it's anything around you being a business owner and making a decision, feeling really bad about that decision because it didn't go the way that you wanted. And now feeling like, oh no, I'm bad at making decisions. So this has come up a lot in the last 3 months with my clients, and I keep saying this, so I thought I have to do a podcast episode about this so that you guys can just come back and listen to it. So here's the thing. Here's exactly what I do for myself and with my clients. You want to take out a piece of paper and you want to list all the lessons that you gained out of making this, air quotes, bad investment. Now, I have done this at least 3 major times, maybe a few minor times. So 1, totally hired a marketing company to outsource marketing for Made for Greatness, and it was a terrible fit. They didn't know what they were doing, and we ended up asking for our money back. And that was really painful, and it was emotional, and we had spent months with them. And not necessarily a lot of work. That was one of the problems. Months had gone by and there were a lot of meetings, but nothing was actually happening. And so that felt pretty terrible. And they said that they would pay us our money back, but really haven't. It's just the truth of it. And so in some ways, that money is lost, or maybe it will come later. But either way, it was 5 digits of money. And it would be very easy for me to look back on that experience with shame or guilt or feeling like something is wrong with me. But instead, I did this exercise like I always do, and I just make it make sense. I am so committed to writing down the lessons that I learned from this choice until I would be willing to go back in time and do it again. That's how you know that you've really captured the lessons. So for this particular thing, I would say if it feels too good to be true, it probably is. I really have learned that. Like if it just sounds like, oh, you're just going to come in with a fairy godmother wand and like sparkle everything up for $5, it wasn't that. But you know what I mean? Like when it sounds really great, it probably isn't true. And that's a valuable lesson to me. That is a valuable lesson that now I have really internalized. Like, if it sounds too good to be true, that's red flags. I'm probably walking away. The second thing is I will probably always want to talk to a client of that person. Had I just said, hey, can I just talk to one of your clients? I think they might not have been able to produce that client, or that client might have just explained the same experience that we went on to have. Like, no, it wasn't like that. It was messy and it wasn't what we thought. So that's an incredibly valuable lesson. I will at some point hire more marketing people or salespeople, copywriters, those kind of relationships. And now I know to ask different questions. That's very valuable to me. The next thing I learned was cut and run sooner. Probably a week in, I already saw some flags and I should have just been like, whoa, no, we're not doing this. And it would have been way less painful to pull at that point than to pull as far down as we did. Months, more than 6 months. The other lesson I learned from that is, I don't know, something like there's just no escaping the work. I think that I had this idea that I could bring somebody in who knew about social media and marketing and graphics, and they could just take care of it for me. And I certainly think that there are teams that do that. I'm sure that there's someone you can hire to do that, probably for quite a bit of money, probably for $10,000 to $30,000. So not $2,000. Like, nobody's taking that off your plate for $2,000. But I just realized that it had to be me. I had to learn how to do it first. I had to roll up my sleeves and watch some YouTube videos and really figure out how to do it myself first. And then I could find someone to help me. And I'm really glad that I learned that lesson. I'm glad that I now have this sense of, I want to learn everything, at least just a little bit, enough to go hire someone to help me. I'm never going to escape that. I'm never just going to skip that part. So that was a very valuable lesson for me. Another lesson was, don't hire someone just because you like them. I really liked this group. Just deep down, good people. I liked them. And that is not a reason to hire someone. Probably for your team, but also a vendor that you're working with. It's just not enough. It's wonderful to like people, but it's not enough if they don't have the skills to help you do what you're doing. So those are probably the lessons that I learned from that one. And then 2 times I have spent 5 digits of money on coaching, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And I wasn't super happy with the result, to the point where I wouldn't recommend it. So I still have a lot of respect for those 2 coaches. They're very talented. I'd probably still recommend their podcast. There's some other things that I would recommend, but I would not recommend 5 digits of money to coach with them. And I think some of the lessons that I learned from that experience was, for one of them, I made the decision very quickly, and I wish I would have waited. And she wasn't even pressuring me to make the decision quickly. I was just excited, and I said yes. And I wish I would have discerned a little bit more. I definitely talked to my husband about it, but I don't know that I really slowed down with the Lord and asked him about that. And so waiting a little bit of time and really discerning with the Lord. Like, I think I felt at the time that it was good enough that I talked to my husband, and he was like, okay. Probably not that enthusiastically. My husband doesn't love spending money, but we talked about it and he was a yes. I definitely, in working with that coach, learned a lot about coaching. So I really credit her with some tools that I learned, but that's not what I hired her for. She wasn't a business coach. And so I'm really grateful for that. Like, I look back and I think, yeah, I would do it again, because there were several things that I got out of that experience that was worth the money to me. So that was both the lessons of how I would purchase coaching, but then also just some actual things I got out of working with her. And also, another thing that came out of that was, looking back, it wasn't the right time to do that work, which was not on her at all. For me, it just wasn't the right time to do that work. And to be honest, other than discerning with the Lord, I'm not sure I could have known that. I think that's one of those things that's hard to see about yourself. But if I had to ask myself a question, I would ask myself, are you really willing to do the hard work to grow in this area right now? And to me, I think a great analogy would be around losing weight. There are just times when you want to do that and times when you don't want to do that. And you usually know deep down, hey, are we really committed to doing this right now? Based on everything else that we've got going on. And so I think really asking yourself, is this the right time to do the work? Because a coach can lead you to water, but they can't make you drink it. They can give you all the tools, but if it's not a good time in your life to implement the tools, then it won't be effective. So I was really glad for learning that lesson, both for myself and my clients, because now I really press my clients too on that. Hey, Is this a good time for you to do this work? And I really do discovery calls only for the society and the mastermind now. We don't do it for the membership. But for those two, I'm really honest with people. If you're not really ready to grow your business, if this isn't a good time for you to dig into what's going on with you personally and emotionally and in your mind, then don't sign up for this right now. Those programs will be there later for you. But just know, are you going to do the work? And that just happened the other day. I pressed someone and she was like, you know what? No, I'm not really ready to do that right now. And it was so beautiful. So I'm very grateful for that coaching experience because it showed me that sometimes the time is just not right, and that's okay. And then another business experience for coaching, and this was business coaching. It just wasn't what I wanted. It was just a little vague. It was a little unstructured. The people in it were really nice, but it wasn't for me. Like, I didn't make lifelong friends there, which is what I really wanted. But when I look at that investment, that one my husband was much more reticent on. He was like, I don't know. And I really had to convince him. And he did say yes. I never buy anything without him saying yes. But I think I learned to trust his intuition a little bit more. I think that was another investment where I felt like if I do this, it's going to save me. And so now I really have this red flag in my mind. If I think anything's going to save me, I'm like, no, stop. Only Jesus Christ will save you. No one else is saving you from anything. There is no, this is very painful and hard, and someone's going to bibbity bobbity boop save you. So if there's something in your business that you think you can just bypass the discomfort on, it's probably not true. There will be discomfort or different discomfort than you're thinking. And so I think that was a really important lesson for me. Trust my husband's intuition, and nothing is going to save you. And again, like, nothing was burning, but our brains are very dramatic. So my brain was very much like, we need this. It's going to save us. And then I think and then also I will say it was a 6-month experience. I had one conversation with this coach that I would have paid $25,000 for. One conversation. I would go back in time and do it all again for that one conversation, which was that impactful to me and my business and continues to be. And so here I am, having done this 3 times. All 3 of those things were 5-digit investments. And I don't have a poor identity around that. I don't think Sterling is bad at investing in things. I think I always get my investment out of something because I ensure that I do. I always spin it around to be positive, and I'm just packing tools in my toolbox. And sometimes the lessons are just how to purchase things, how to identify if somebody is the person that you want to work with, how to feel really calm when you're purchasing things, how to get on the same page with the Lord and with your husband about things. But if you want to be a business owner, if you want to be a CEO, we cannot drag with us this idea that we're bad at investing in things and we don't know. Get really, really clear. And I've walked my clients through this experience, and I love hearing their lessons. It's just so powerful. And I love seeing them shift literally before my eyes, go from feeling hunched over and ashamed to like, yeah, I would literally pay that money again to learn these things. And these things are precisely the evidence that I'm going to continue to succeed. I don't think anybody gets to high levels of success without having invested in some things that weren't great ideas. I have heard Alex Hormozy's story often, but usually it's the broad strokes about the businesses. I just recently heard him talk more about the early years and talk about just this, some bad decisions he made, some bad investments, some bad partnerships, some bad deals. So his businesses were even kind of successful within this happening. And it was so nice to hear. Just like, yeah, nobody gets through the business gauntlet without some scrapes and bruises. But you can feel ashamed about them, or you can think, these are my battle scars. I am proud of these. I am strong because of these. So if you feel like you have made a bad investment in something, do not blame that person or that company. That will feel terrible. It will drag you down. It will keep you playing small. And it's just not helpful. And you could be totally right. Like maybe they were unethical. Maybe they scammed you. Maybe they lied. But thinking about that doesn't help you at all. It doesn't help you be a better business owner. It will just keep you in this yucky feeling, and it will affect you. That person's not thinking about you right now. So I want you to write down all the lessons, both about buying things, but also, I promise, that person did teach you something that was valuable. That program did teach you something. And fill up that paper until you would go back in time and make that decision again. Because you see that the lessons that you learned were worth more than you paid that person. Now, I have heard several coaches say, I always 2x my investment, 5x my investment, 10x my investment. But I just want to offer, I think it's okay if it doesn't work out like that, at least on paper, at least with the numbers. That you in your mind can always decide that the investment was worth it. And that will make you feel stronger. And this is kind of how I think about my whole life. I just trust that God has led me on this path and that even the hard things are now part of my sainthood story. Because any other way that we make sense of it, thinking that something is intrinsically wrong with us and bad, will just keep us stuck in a negative story. And then we stop taking risks. We stop dreaming. And the Lord certainly doesn't want that. He wants you to dream. He's put something on your heart, and it's going to involve risky things to achieve it. So get back to work, talk to the Lord, and have a blessed day.